seën jou in naam van die musiekindustrie. Okay, so welcome to Tiaan and Eloise today here at the STORTKOP Confessions. So I just want to give an introduction to those who are listening. Hallo, wat gaan jy? So STORTKOP Confessions is a side project of singing in the shower concerts. It's a little project that I started that I'm hosting. And I'm very excited to be joined by South African music industry professionals and entertainers. We're talking about the music industry, the state of it during the pandemic, and what we can do about it. So I invited Tiaan and Eloise because they kind of represent this whole idea of being versatile and being in all kinds of areas in the industry, acting, singing, dancing, whatever it is. So I want to know how they survived them during the pandemic. So first of all, guys, welcome. I like your badtassel. It's very beautiful and very grand. Julle stuitjies gaan seer raak hoor. Ek hoop julle het 'n kussing. Ek het 'n kussing hier. So en koffie. Dat ek net my prop hier inskuif daar. Daar sê julle. So, God, everybody has a yellow ducky, mense. Cool. Selfs die rock stars, even the rock stars who I interviewed had a little yellow ducky in the shower, mense. Oh, like, so guys, I want you to tell us about your background in the industry. What have you been building up for yourself up until the point when lockdown happened? And also, what was your reaction when you heard the news that the country was going to be locked down for 3 weeks? And then when it was extended, how did you start to resolve the problem and start to be innovative to survive financially and look after your families and whatever else you had to do? So just tell us where you were at right before lockdown and about your background. Let's start there.
Well, we're both the musical theatre actors, in that kind of field. So that's where we kind of started off and really got to know each other in that side of the entertainment industry.
So because of the industry, obviously we diversified in every sphere of it. He did a lot of barnyard shows and went on ships and entertained a lot of people around the world. I did a lot of musical theatre shows and then went into production, corporate eventing and stuff.
Yeah.
And both of us, auditioned for TV and so on and so forth. And just before lockdown, we were sitting and it was just at that time where Italy had already been locked down and they were starting to sing on their balconies.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
We were quite excited for the 3-week lockdown because we were like, hey man, let's do a song on the roof as our version of the Italian veranda singing.
Yeah. That's
and we'll do it for 21 days. Let's see what happens.
And a year and a half later, you guys are gigging with the name Rooftop Tunes. Now it's like a thing,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we sang on the roof every day for 365 days.
Yeah.
So if the two of us couldn't, because in the beginning it was quite easy because we were locked down and we were stuck in the same property. And we could sing, both of us could sing on the roof, and then as it slowly opened, we kind of started doing small little things.
Other gigs here and there.
Children went back to school and all sorts of things. So then if both of us couldn't be on the roof, one of us was.
Okay.
So for a year we did that. Then after the year we decided to just move it to Monday, so once a week on a Monday. So only on Mondays now. We're still continuing with the rooftop tunes.
Exactly. And you guys do this via your Facebook page, so people can check that out. It's on Facebook, Rooftop Tunes, ne? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, like it. Dagdag Dinkie.
Rooftop Tunes, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Listen, I want the viewers to really understand, I don't think people really understand what it takes to create and maintain a career in what you guys are doing, musical theatre, acting, all that stuff. So if you can, please give us a description of the skills that you guys have and developed over the years in order to be successful, because I do consider you to be successful performers. If you can just mention the work that you've done, I think that's important for people to know, especially young people who want to go into this industry, to have a realistic description of what it is. Because as far as I know, Tiaan, you studied drama,
So I studied drama at UP at the University of Pretoria. And then basically got an agent and started going for auditions and started gigging. I started off with children's theatre, as most people do. I think that's a great place to start off for any performer. Because child audiences are definitely the most honest.
Yep.
And so you learn a lot. And from there, just like going for auditions and seeing what happens. From there on, I got into a little bit of TV work here and there. I've done a couple of ads over the years. Musical theatre, and I did quite a long stint in the Barnyard Theatre circuit.
Okay.
That
exactly
the bulk of my career, I'd say.
Barnyard shows.
Yeah.
And carry on.
Is it klaar?
Ek glo so.
More TV. So I studied musical theatre at the University of Technology.
Okay, lucky.
I had 2 years of studying. And from there, I was quite lucky. I didn't have to go into children's theatre because I got into, at that point, Dion Opperman was still doing theatre shows. 6-week show in the Joburg Theatre. And from there, I went into Hairspray and then Night Fever. And then we did Footloose. We were in the same show. In between, there's pantomimes, everything that comes along. And when I started doing musical theatre, it was before the shows started touring internationally. There were 1 or 2 that did, but the ones I was in was very much Joburg, Cape Town based. But the last one I did was in 2010 when we did Mamma Mia. And from there, they started doing, I think they brought back, not Cabaret, Chicago. And they went with that. Lion King at that point had already started touring. So, it's, it's audition on audition on audition, hoping that you get the job and hoping for a lead. And then you get an understudy chorus job and then you go for the next one. And so aan gaan jy en jy hou net aan werk. And in that, you diversify and you start writing your own shows and you start directing your own shows. And we joined a festival called the NSA Festival. It was the National School of Arts Festival, where they did all these little shows. It was very small, but we did the most amazing shows. We did 5 in a row. We did 5 years of that. I did that together with Niels and Craig and Clint Hawkes. And from there, you audition for anything that comes along. But but in our industry, it's hard work. You can't just be an actor. You can't just be a singer. There are some people who do that, and they are very successful, and it's amazing for me. I don't know how they do it because
but I
have 3 children. I have to make a plan, put food on the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I it boils down to auditioning.
Working on
the craft and diversifying eventually. So we've both written stuff, and she's done directing now a bit more, and producing and special. It's
awesome.
It's not grafting.
What are you directing and producing, Eloise?
So we just Niels, my husband, he just wrote a 12-episode children's series, and I produced it. It's a puppet show, and then ended up directing it as well.
Nice. Nice.
That's what I'm doing. And
I
he's
was
a
a
puppeteer
puppeteer.
and a voice artist on it.
Oh, awesome.
And he actually did some graphic design on it as well at a point.
Yeah. I think it's probably also relevant to many other industries, but in this industry, you have to depend so much on relationships with people. Like clearly you guys are good friends, you've worked together, you can work together, you live on the same property, whatever the case might be. So like relationships are important, diversifying is important. And those things, when you're in a lockdown situation, you kind of rely on those relationships. Like who can you go back to? What can we do? How can we collaborate? Whereas a person who has a business and they focus on one thing has a different experience. So I want to know in terms of creating work for yourselves, like that's what freelance people do. You have to be creative all the time. How did you start to think about that? Because obviously in the beginning, everybody would just wait to see when is the next gig coming up. And some people try to do things differently and, for instance, use social media differently. Or what did you guys do to make a plan to survive in this time?
I just listened to Eloise. She's a go-getter and a person who makes things happen. So honestly, if it wasn't for her, I probably would have laid in my bed and watched series and ate chips. Something along those lines. But she just went, hey, let's do this rooftop tube thing and let's do it every day. And then next thing, she did Zoom exercise classes, and we in the mornings she presented that, and we all joined in that. Well, so that was my personal. Donkey.
I don't know. I have a friend that said to me, when everything dies down, I go into overdrive. So I think it comes from my dad. It's a question of I can't sit still and wait. I've never been that girl. I think to my detriment and to the detriment of my performance career, I couldn't just sit and wait for opportunities to come along. So we got involved with a company that started an online platform called Platform ZA.
Well, yeah.
And we had this children's show that we've been working on for 10 years and recently very hard on it for 2.5 years. And I went, we have to contact them. They're the perfect people to film this thing for us. Let's contact them. And then they were like, yes, let's do it. We must film in December. And we were like, no, wait, we've got 12, which ended up being 15 puppets that we have to build. That's not ready. What else can we do? And so we produced 3 other shows, of which one was a Christmas show.
A Christmas special.
That Tiaan and Niels wrote together.
Yeah.
We all performed in it. We produced the whole thing. It was just such a wonderful, it was such a wonderful experience. And because of where everyone found themselves, and at that point it was much later. I mean, we were locked down in end of March, and this happened in November.
Yeah. So
we quickly wrote a show. Quickly wrote a 3-episode show, 4-episode show, 4-episode show. And within that, I did 2 other children's series, and I'm still waiting for Tiaan to do the 3rd one that he was supposed to do.
Well.
And because of that, it just catapulted Kama Kama into, which is the latest one that we did, Kama Kama, and that just catapulted that into a massive production. And we just literally end of July we filmed it. Yeah.
Wow. Where can people
learn? You need an Eloise to make things happen.
With my seat.
Basically, because I personally I am that person who will sit around and wait for the audition or wait for the opportunity where I don't think to make it happen. But it's great to have someone like her in my life.
Yeah.
To just push me, because then you do create amazing things. Someone's there going, do that now.
But also, it's really difficult in an industry that gets shut down, and every turn you take, you run into a wall. And within 3 weeks, every single avenue that I always took to, to just make a bit of money, closed. Like,
Precies.
closed.
Yeah.
It's not happening. So
Yeah.
I went into, Christus,
Yeah.
we have to do something. And, I mean, we did some amazing stuff in the last 6 months, literally. In fact, in the last 8 months, we've done amazing stuff. None of it has brought in money yet, but I believe that it will. And also, everybody went, let's do stuff online, it's going to work. And both of us were part of 2 different concerts that happened online.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible. The one concert was really cool. Everybody had to film themselves from home because we were still in a hard lockdown then. And the second one, it wasn't as hectic. Wat was er net weer een? Wat voel het vir my? Dit was die musical theatre one. So Unseen did a musical theatre thing where every week they had a different show and you could perform in it or not. So it kept us busy. It kept us busier than we thought we would be. I guess as a creative person, and I think a lot of people understand what creativity is now because they started building their own beautiful gardens and made things at home and fixed things, and I believe everybody is creative in some way. But if you lose your creativity, you lose your mind. That's how I feel about it. And
That's
because
true.
we are in our industry, our passion is also our job, and it's also the way we make a living. I couldn't allow that to get stagnant and just make us all depressed, because then none of us would be able to get out of bed, And that's
Exactly.
And you fall back on your training, and you fall back on the stuff that you geleer het, all the stuff that you learned how to do and your skill set. You fall back on that. The only way to get skills is to actually work on it and to learn stuff.
That's it. And I think if you are a professional, you are habitually exercising those skills. It almost becomes part of your personality and the way that you live. So it's kind of natural to go into creating a platform where you now do this and you do little projects, and it's just like an obvious thing that's going to happen because it's something that you've practiced and it's ingrained in your personality now. And that's the beauty about being an entrepreneur and a freelancer, is we have to do that all the time. And so I want to add to what you just said about that. It's almost like everybody went back to their craft and kind of spent a lot of time on it again, and reevaluated why we're doing this. And it's like a mental journey, a huge mental thing that happened. And then if things go back to normal, I mean, I think the standard is going to be a lot higher than it was, because people realize also now that online exploded. Online music and singers and artists exploded. So I was like, wow, I didn't know this person existed, and they do this and that. So I think the dynamic overall in the industry, I think, has changed. So I'm actually looking forward to see what's coming out, like which new artists, etc. I want to ask you guys,
I wanted to say,
I want to ask you guys about like a more serious type of questions in terms of the industry and the structures that we have or don't have that supports us in a time like this. I've had conversations with other people as well, and before I say anything, I want to know, is there a union that you guys belong to or anything like that from government that you can go to for help and assistance? Or is it TUMSA also, the Trade Union for Musicians South Africa?
No, we are a part of SAGA, the South African Guild of Actors.
Yeah.
But they like an umbrella union for not only actors but dancers and singers that all we're all part of the same group, I guess, especially if you're musical theatre, because that's a 3-legged triple threat thing.
Yeah.
And they are affiliated with UASA or UASA, which is a very old, or not old, but they've been around, I think, for 100 years. It's a union. And so there are some things that you can ask for help on. I don't know enough. I should know more because they do actually support us. But when everything shut down, we were completely left to our own devices. There were talks of money, and we did apply to some.
Did you?
I think I was one of the very few lucky ones who did actually. I did receive my government grant.
Okay.
Okay. But you had to basically because you had to prove that you would have earned X amount of money in that time.
Yeah,
I see.
And luckily, I did have that. I was going to be in high school, School of Rock. I was going to do the musical School of Rock, and so I had all the paperwork of what I would have earned in that time. I got some money, but also only once, and like right at the beginning of the lockdown.
Yeah.
One sum of money, and that was it.
Yeah.
So it definitely helped. I was very thankful that I'm still thankful for it, but I mean,
that's yeah.
So if you didn't have contracts lined up, if you didn't have proof that you were going to earn money, you couldn't apply for any of these grants. And that's the thing with our industry. You don't know what's happening next month. You hustle every day, all the time.
Exactly.
Line up jobs. And when they shut us down, all of those people stopped. And so there was no way to prove that we were going to sing 4 times a month at this place or 1 gig here,
That exactly that, because this is the thing. The amount of time and energy that we spend into creating work is much more than the time of the actual work that takes place. All the admin that goes into that. So if you're locked down, it's like all that time is now gone and you've got nothing to prove for it. And then if it opens up again, like you kind of have to start all over again. So it's so much time that's being wasted, and that's part of the job. That's part of the job. I don't know about you guys, but when people ask you, "Sir, wat doen jy vandag? You know, what did you do? What's your plans for tomorrow?" And you say, "Well, I work," but like, okay, what do you do? And then, okay, I've got a list of 20 things. It's small little things, but eventually they're going to become something. It might take 6 months, but I do that every single day. That's kind of the nature of this work. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Nee. Absolutely. It's part of that. So dis die moeilikheid, dit is rarig die moeilikheid.
It's hard to really like put into words or to like say all of this is part of my job at the end of the day. You can't really package it like and put it a lacy mark van alles wat nou deel is van jou werk nie. Very true. And I think that's pretty much what we all ended up doing during lockdown, is spending time on that stuff, in the hope that something will happen. The other thing that's related to this and support is money, is value and price tags, because stuff that has value has a price tag. And that's linked to famous people and people who are not famous, but people who are part of that famous person's success. In the music realm, that would be the singer, the famous singer, but then the band members, the producer, the sound engineer, the event manager, the list goes on. Like who's more important than the other person in terms of their survival and livelihood? One of the funniest things that I noticed, and it's also for the actors, was on Facebook. I don't know if you guys saw this. Lots of famous people, they had a little poster saying that you can pay this amount to let this person wish your friend or whoever happy birthday, Oulik idea. But then the price would change. The price would differ. Like, I don't have the facts, but Kurt Darren is R80, maar Rihanna Nel is R2000. You weet wat ek sê? Like, who determines the value of these people? I don't understand where that comes from. That's a weird thing for me.
Yeah, I think it comes down to how big you think you are. No, but seriously, and also what you charge. Because those people also charge.
I'm as big as this. Ek is die grootste van ons 3. My kop is die grootste.
Dis nie met ons.
Pas
Nee,
er
nee, nee.
maar.
Ja.
My kop is die grootste, duidelik, hoor. Ek sê vir jou.
Yeah. You know, those people also charge differently when they actually do gigs.
Ja,
I
presies.
know of a band that charged. I think the band charged 80K for an event. This was before lockdown, right? So they would come and they would do like a 30-minute set, and it was 80K, and there were 4
Wow.
people in the band. So it's the singer and everybody in the band is 4 people, and then they've got their manager dude that comes, and it's 80K, right?
Ja,
Then they wanted one person to come on and give one award, and
Yeah.
that guy was 118,000 rand. Then you go, just because
yes.
I don't know, you
Huh?
played the lead in something, or you played the front line rugby line.
Ja,
Process to and it doesn't make sense in my mind. Those
Yeah.
guys, those band members, which is 80K is also a lot of money.
baie, ja.
I mean, that's a lot of money. Those are like
Mm.
high-end bands.
Ja.
But still, they spend time on a craft. They come together. They write things together. They really work hard all the time. And they're going to
Mm.
give you 30 minutes of entertainment, right?
Ja,
This oak is coming to walk across the stage. Maybe he says the winner's name. Sometimes
Yeah.
he doesn't even. Sometimes
Okay.
he just gives the award. And there's 150K. Ek wil ook so famous wees, julle.
Oh.
Ek wil dit ook doen.
He doesn't announce the winner's name. He announces his own name and says, I am da-da-da-da, and this person won. Hi. So dan it's a bietjie, that's the thing.
Ja.
Ja, julle,
Ja,
It's insane.
ja.
that sort of things, like that's a going rate thing. They've made up a going rate. This is our rate, and here we go. But on the other side of the coin, the people who provide gigs like the live music venues, the festivals, all that stuff, like it's difficult to say what's the going rate for a musician to perform at a restaurant, because the restaurant decides how much they pay. And then if this guy wants 500 rand, they're going to take that one instead of the guy who wants 3,000 rand. So that's the other side of it in terms of value. But there's so much to talk about. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. But yeah, this is interessant. It's really interesting. You were saying, sorry, was baie praat later. You were saying about the union, and that we're not always informed about what they do and what we can get from them. It's the same with us. And I think it's because we're not focused on that side, the corporate side of our business. We don't have our stuff ready, and like, I wish we were taught more about that when we studied, or there's regular workshops or training or something that happens, so we can actually get, get with the program, I would say. So yeah, I don't know.
But I guess also it's the way we've been programmed. There's so many people that still believe that our job is not a real job. So they don't see us as people that I mean, the government doesn't even see us. We don't exist for them because we are self-employed and mostly unemployed in their mind, you know. So something like maternity leave or health insurance or subsidiary in anything like a car allowance, all of that stuff falls away for us. So then our focus is predominantly on, I need to do a job and make this amount of money because this is what I have to pay at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So it's a hand to mouth all the time, unless you're lucky enough to get a more permanent gig like a soapy or a drama series, or you get a definite, I'm being paid this much because I'm doing these amounts of gigs at this place. But still, you get the salary and that's it. You don't get leave. You don't get anything. You're seen as a contractor. And I guess that's why we don't even think of the fact that unions do provide possibility, because our union specifically helps us with the government and the UIF and stuff if you do need maternity leave. But we pay UIF for every single job we do, but we are not eligible to claim it when we're unemployed. And they say that because we are independent contractors. But the moment you do a contract, best you pay the UIF or you get into real big trouble. So it's just, it's the mentality around who we are and what we do. And that's why we don't focus on all of this stuff.
I wasn't not aware of that fact. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people try to claim for UIF now with a lockdown because all of our jobs stopped. And they just said, you're not permanently employed. You're not even a bit employed. So you can't get money.
It's insane.
And if you go back with all your pay slips and you say, but this is all the UIF I paid, they're like, but that was then. This is now.
Yes. Yeah, that's insane. It's insane, y'all. So no one, if the government doesn't take it serious, how will the public take it serious? But the public has a strange relationship with entertainers also. That's kind of a sick, like a weird thing happening there. Eerlikwaar. I can uitbrei, maar ja.
There's a lot of, look, we've lost some incredible icons in the industry in the last 2 months, right? And that is because most of them didn't have health insurance and they couldn't go for proper health care. And so I think because of that, a lot of awareness has been created on it. The TBF, the Theatre Benevolent Fund, is a really amazing fund. They take care of a lot of old actors. A lot of us, you can link your Woolies school card to them and such things can happen. And they do get funding from spaces, but they literally have to keep people alive. So they literally provide for, I think it's 9 or 10 or maybe even 13 people per month. They make them able to pay their stuff and they give them food and so on and so forth. What was the
awesome.
Why was I saying that? I lost my trail of thought.
Awareness word gecreëerd.
Awareness has been created. Specifically when Charlene Sooty Richards passed away, it was a big thing because she physically didn't have enough money to go and pay a doctor so that he could tell her that she must go to hospital. And if you don't have medical aid, you go to somewhere like Helen Joseph, and I don't even wish my biggest enemy to go there ever. It is the worst place. It's bad. It's bad. Okay, let's not go into that because that's a whole other interview. And people's idea of Charlene was that she's this rich woman because she's so famous. And it has nothing to do with that. One day you're on Binnelanders, the next day you're not. Like, you had a great stint on there, and then for the next 12 months you have no work.
Yeah, precies.
And they pay you what they offer you, and you say yes to it because you have no other job, or sometimes they do pay well. And I just did an amazing drama series, and they paid well, but I had 3 calls, boom, and there's klap. So now I'm all doing, I guess I'm famous persoon, but actually I'm really hustling to put bread on my table,
Yeah.
So there's a wanperceptie. What is it in Engels? You don't really know what happens to us. And I think because of the icons that we've lost, and they're all older, and none of them have the medical support that they need and the financial backing to get the medical support that they need. It has created some form of awareness of that it doesn't really matter how famous you are. If your bank account is empty, then it's empty.
That's it. And another point on that is she's famous, and that's why we can create awareness about the situation. But there's plenty of people who are not famous but do the same amount of work, and it's just on a smaller scale, but they spend the same amount of time and energy, and it goes through the same thing. So that's the nice side about fame. But the bad side about fame is exactly this, that the public have a misperception about that person. And this is what happened in lockdown. By the second month, I admired so many people in the music industry where I thought, I'm the biggest loser on earth because I'm not successful and and these people are so amazing, they're up there. But 2 months into it, freaking, we're all in the same boat, yeah. Like, even they are suffering. And how does that work? Why? Why is that? And it's like you said, when you have work, it's great, but then nothing happens for a while, and then you have it again. So don't be fooled by people's fame or their reputation in the industry or whatever. It cannot be measured with money. You cannot measure it and say, this person is worth that, and that person is worth that. That's why it's so strange to me that people do that. Because the work is the work. Ons almal doen die werk. En ek weet hulle, hoe voel julle stytjies? Is julle stytjies okay? Is julle alright? So, if there's anything else you want to add, please do. Otherwise, we can conclude the interview. So, is there anything else?
Ek voel asof ek praat nie eintlik nie, maar
Tiaan.
Ek is gelukkig met Ellie. Stem saam met alles wat sy sê.
Okay. Mooi.
Look, I do believe that a lot of collaboration happened and a lot of people met in a center where that would never have happened. And I think the playing field was leveled quite heavily, which meant that the ones that stuck it out are the ones that are going to stick out further. There's a lot of people that fell by the wayside because of various reasons and scenarios and stuff. But relationships have like doubled in value, and the way we've been supporting each other in this space is really awesome. And I do believe a lot of good is coming out of it, and I do believe that a lot of really awesome stuff will rise above the clutter of a lot of people that did a lot of stuff online. Totally. But it is exciting. I think it is exciting for our industry, the amount of people that really just went bull by the horns. Let's just, however we get through this is how we're going to do it. That to me is very positive. And very exciting.
Awesome. It's like the scene in Titanic where the band just continues playing. That's what it is. Like, okay, we're gonna die, but let's sing a song. We'll sing a liedjie.
What we do.
Requests. You only have 2 minutes before the host. Voor die skip sink. Listen, last question. Why did you guys agree to be part of this project?
Your
STORTKOP Confessions. Yes.
Well, because we love what you do, man. All the stuff that you say to us is right back at you. I mean, you've been there and you've been alone. You didn't even have a partner in crime.
I was isolated. I was super isolated in quarantine.
Kudos to you, man, for also just sticking it out. I think the biggest compliment we ever got was people thanking us for being so consistent and helping them through the lockdown, because that's something to look forward to. They knew that was coming every day. And if they forgot where they were, what day it was, then Dag Dinkie came on. And I think you do the same. I think you've provided the exact same thing because you're consistent with your stuff. You're consistently there. And if anybody needs anything, they can just go to your site or your page.
Dankie julle. Dankie. Listen, also, because STORTKOP Confessions is meant to create solidarity in our industry and to speak the truth about our experiences. What value do you think that has for us to stand together a bit more and to be able to really speak? What value does that have, do you guys think, for your sector specifically, let's say, or whatever? Get a little bit philosophical about it.
For me, it's the mere fact that we are not alone.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they're alone in it, and then they see that they're not alone.
There's a strange thing. I mean, sorry, this is backtracking a little bit, but my 2019 was already really bad. I worked a lot, but once again, theatre doesn't pay that much, and I ended, and I was like, well, I've got practically no money left.
Ja.
So I felt like I was already in that space. So when the whole lockdown thing happened, I definitely, it was even to all of us, a sense of like, oh, now everyone's in that same position that I've been in for a couple of months now already.
Ja.
And I found a lot of it sounds a bit bad, but I definitely I found solace in the fact that everyone was going through the same thing. So there's definitely something to be said for just knowing that we're there for each other and knowing that people are going through the same things.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. And the general public also, I think the general public, I hope that they learn something new about our industry. Like we said, the misperceptions that are out there. Yeah, anyway, ek kan nou nog aanhou en aanhou vir jare. Ek gaan nou stop. But thank you so much for joining me in this project. This is our project. If there are more people that you know who want to speak, invite them. So it's not my thing, it's everybody's thing. And it needs to, I moet swem, I moet gaan. So yeah, guys, lekker. Enjoy your afternoon. We'll speak again. Vandag is die, wat? Augustus? 23rd of August. Ek moet vergeet om die datum te sê. 23rd of August. Okay, we'll speak again. Lekker bly. Ek gaan stop druk. Don't hang up. Okay, bye.
Cheers.